Welcome back to War Thunder. Welcome to a follow-up video on the 8.0 video, and today I have to say this is just a rough idea because there are so many topics that I could potentially talk about, and I've talked to even more people since the rant. I talked to people before the rant. I played a few more chat matches. I really observed the situation, and I think I've come up with certain good ideas. Now please let me have the chance to explain a lot of this, so it will not be a perfect video, but I think I can provide some ideas for simple, fast, efficient fixes, and that's what I think is something to begin for a complete rework of the chat meta. So the idea is to make chats more attractive, to get more people into the whole thing, so potentially to give the matchmaker a chance to create even more down tiers for 8.0 chats, which would make them less frustrating, to just you know, look at it from the 8.0 battle rating chat players perspective, and yeah, to allow for mirror matchmaking, for less queue times, and to reduce more and more issues. Like on a submarine that should run silent, the goal is to reduce the noise level, and for that you have a very simple rule to wipe out the loudest noise source and then do it with the next, and so forth. It's not easy, it's not 100% guaranteed that it works, but at least we should try, and we haven't kind of seen a big rework in years. So I think I should, after a rant, I should provide solutions, and this is the ultimate goal. At the end of the video I also will talk about a misunderstanding in the last video that actually overshadowed the actual discussion. One of the reasons why I was so harsh with Gaijin in that rant video was because I have so many chats, yet I have never the feeling to play them. So the question is, why have I grinded for them? Why have I invested golden eagles into them? And you know, the overwhelming majority of them is just not playable, and this is not how it should be, in my opinion. So let's bring up some solutions. The first idea is the thing that we should rework chat bombers. So chat bombers you can categorize into two groups. The one are the unarmed chat bombers, something like the first Vautour in the tech tree, the B version without guns, the Rado without the guns, and so forth. They can stay actually the way that they are. I see no real problem with them. I mean, if they run, it's annoying, but you know, you can never prevent that. It's more of a player-born issue. Then we come to the armed bombers, and the current problem that I have is that a good portion of them actually outclass the battle rating equivalent fighters, and also pose more threat to the enemy than the actual fighters. That should not work like that. But if you nerf them into the ground, ultimately they might not even fulfill their original task, which is to deal with ground forces. So that also could mean that at some point we should talk about new ground targets and making them more useful for the outcome of the battle. But you know, to rebalance that is another another topic worth talking about eventually at some point. So that brings us to the topic of dealing with the armed jet bombers. So they start with an altitude of 4,000 to 5,000 meters with actually speed under their belt in front of the airfield. So they can drop their payload and just dive on the enemy fighters and go into head-ons if they are, for example, R2Y2, or just drain their energy hunting them down and deciding the outcome of the battle in most cases before it actually has really begun. This should not work like that. So my idea is to reduce the spawn altitude to maybe 3 kilometers, maybe even 2.5. If you look at the Vautour at, well, 8.0 currently, yes, I know that it will get up to 9.0, but currently at the moment it can really even work with starting from the airfield. and still come on top in an actual fight engagement. This is a bit absurd in my opinion. So furthermore, we should put the spawn point from the enemy's perspective 3 to 4 kilometers behind the airfield, and that will then still allow the jet bombers to drop their payload on the bombing bases or the ground forces, but still kind of get out of there before the actual fighters arrive. So bombers still can do their bombing thing. If they are really good bomber pilots, they still can kind of go into initial engagements with enemy fighters, but they are not anti-fighter bombers. This is one big issue that I have in mind. Let me know in the comment section if you agree or disagree. So that is one big portion of a problematic situation put out of the way, but we can further work on that indirectly by adding something called mirror matchmaking, so that we have the very same team setup in terms of amount of aircraft, battle rating of those aircraft, and type of aircraft on both teams. So to just limit jet bombers to 4 per team is not the ultimate solution. To guarantee the same amount of jet bombers on both teams and limit the maximum amount to 4 per team would be, I guess, the best solution. Furthermore, it is a bit difficult if you allow, for example, one team to have, let's say, 4 top tier bombers, whereas the enemy team then has 4 top tier jet fighters. So in most cases, the jet fighters with the same battle rating will win. Again, there are exceptions, but you know what I'm talking about, I hope so. And that would allow for an equal battlefield. So I know that will bring some issues with it if one nation really pumps out jet bomber players, but we have to do something, and we have to improve it for the overwhelming majority of players, in my opinion. So jet bombers and mirror matchmaking. Same amount of players on both sides, same amount of jet fighters and jet bombers for both sides, and they should also have the same battle rating. That brings us then to the battle rating rework. So for a complete rework, we actually at first need one thing: more content to fill the existing gaps and the created gaps if we use something like this. So for example, Germany lacks actual jet fighter content. The 8.0 aircraft are all gimmick aircraft. Let's face it, this is how it is. Then the 9.0 jet fighters for Germany are actually of Soviet and American origin. Then there is also Japan that has no actual jet fighter at all, aside from the F-8630, which again is actually an American aircraft. And then there are the latest 2 nations, France and Italy, but then those nations are so young, within War Thunder at least, that I kind of understand why they have not the most amount of jets to begin with. So that brings another point to the table. The battle rating decompression has in mind, we see, for example, for prop aircraft, we see from 1.0 with biplanes to the end of 6.7 with super props, a 6.7 spread in battle rating, and that the development time of those aircraft is, I guess, something like 20 years. But if you look then at jets from 6.7 to 9.0, we just have a battle rating spread of 2.3. And how far apart are something like the Me-262 and the Hawker Hunter? 2.3 in battle rating, but in years of development and performance, so the steps in between are not big enough. So certain people have suggested that 0.7 of battle rating difference should fix the problem. It would be a very fast solution, but not the very best in the long run. So it really doesn't matter if you just reduce the battle rating spread. Yes, it would be some kind of solution, but not the perfect one. And I think Gaijin doesn't really want to screw around with their system even more nowadays. But, you know, we need more planes to fill the content gaps. We need more planes to balance out the chances for both teams. And in conjunction with the mirror matchmaking and the bomber rework, we are on a good way to do that. Those are some basic ideas. Let me know what you think about that in the comment section. Furthermore, now I want to talk about the misunderstanding in the last video. So what happened in quintessence was that I was on the runway and the MiG-15 was trying to strafe me at kind of the end of the match, and I was bailing out just before he shot at me, rejoined the match after he has zoomed through. Ultimately, he crashed and I got heavily criticized. Let me just clarify that situation in its entirety and my standpoint to that. If I would have been the last player on my team, and if I would have hidden on my airfield to just bait enemy planes into my triple airfield, I completely would agree that this is not nice to do, and it would have been abusing of certain game mechanics. In all reality, what was happening was that I had a good game and I wanted to win this. So I was really fighting for it. And that means I was low on ammunition. That meant I was going back to the airfield to rearm. And before I could start, or really have a chance to start, I noticed that somebody was lurking around the airfield to strafe me to get an easy kill. And out of all the aircraft that were still alive on the enemy team, it was the MiG-15, and that was their best performing jet. There was another player on my team, and it was an unarmed French jet bomber. So if I would have just simply bailed out, I would have left this guy to die. I just would have him left to decide the game for me. So I was not the last player. I still saw a real chance to win, and I wanted to win. And this MiG-15 still had the kind of best capabilities of the remaining enemy jets to hunt down this jet bomber. But no, instead he went for the easy kill. And I just was not in the mood to gift my aircraft to him as a kill. I just wasn't in the mood. I wanted to fight. I wanted to really make the most out of it. And at this point in time, I just thought it was really unfair of this guy to strafe me. He didn't even allow me to start in the air. And whatever you wanna think about me, I am just not in the mood to get strafed in kind of mid-battle, when I was returning to the airfield to get more ammunition to rejoin the fight. Because I think I already got 2 kills and a few kill assists, something like that. It was a really nice match in this respect in terms of results, and therefore I wanted to win it. And I saw a chance for it, and if I would have just bailed out for good, I think that's an option that was thinkable, I would have left the last player on my team. I just would have left him to die. And I think that is as much of a dick move as it was by the MiG-15 in all reality to just strafe me. So that was a situation that I could not possibly win. Okay, and the only honorable solution, so to speak, would have been to let me strafe. And that was just something that I don't accept in this game at this point in time. So whatever you might think of me, that is my standpoint. I 100% agree. If I would have been the last player on my team, and if the enemies had no other choice to win, or any other chance to win, and if I would have hidden on my airfield, that would have been absolutely disgusting. But under those circumstances, I think I had some right to do that. And if it would really something game breaking, then Gaijin just should implement something that prevents me from doing this 2 or 3 or 4 times. That is my opinion, and I hope that you can see where I'm coming from. So that's it for me today. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Please don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section about the entire topic. What are your solutions? What do you think should be changed? And what should we actually keep with the chat matches and matchmaker, the battle ratings and so forth? And yeah, don't forget to give this video a like as well. Subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other in the skies of War Thunder.